Money can buy a lot of things. It can buy a penthouse in Manhattan, a fleet of Ferraris, and even the silence of a boardroom. But there is one thing money cannot buy: class. In 2023, billionaire CEO Derek Sterling walked into one of New York's most exclusive restaurants and made a fatal mistake. He thought he could humiliate a struggling waitress named Erica Vance by throwing a wad of cash in her face. He thought she would cry. He thought she would beg. Instead, Erica did something with that money that didn't just silence the room. It silenced his entire career. What she did next is a masterclass in revenge that the elites are still whispering about. You are not going to believe who she really was. The air inside L'Obsidian, Manhattan's most unapproachable dining establishment, always smelled the same. A mixture of truffle oil, expensive cologne, and fear. For Erica Vance, fear was just background noise. It was the hum of the refrigerator in her tiny studio apartment in Queens. It was the red ink on her mother's hospital bills. It was the constant ache in her feet after a 10-hour shift in 6-inch heels. At 26, Erica had the cheekbones of a model, but the tired eyes of someone who had seen too much of the world's cruelty. She moved through the dining room with the grace of a ghost, refilling crystal goblets with sparkling water, her face a mask of polite indifference. Tonight, the tension in the restaurant was palpable. The staff had been briefed during the pre-shift lineup. Table 4, the floor manager, a nervous man named Julian, had hissed, wiping sweat from his upper lip. Derek Sterling, CEO of Sterling Hale Dynamics. He's closing the merger with the Kensington Group tonight. If his water glass drops below half full, you're fired. If the steak is 1 degree over medium rare, you're fired. Do I make myself clear? Erica had nodded, tightening her apron strings. She knew who Derek Sterling was. Everyone in New York did. He was the golden boy of Wall Street, a man who had made his first billion by gutting family-owned pharmaceutical companies and selling off the parts. He was handsome in a predatory way, sharp jaw, shark-like grin, and eyes that looked like dead pixels on a screen. When he arrived, he sucked the oxygen out of the room. He was flanked by 2 other men in suits that cost more than Erica's tuition debt, and a woman who looked more like a hostage than a date. Erica was assigned the table. From the moment she approached, Derek was a nightmare. He didn't look at her when he ordered. He simply pointed at the menu while continuing his conversation about trimming the fat of his latest acquisition. When she poured the wine, a 1982 Bordeaux, he snatched the glass, swirled it aggressively, and sneered. "It breathes like it's been suffocated, sweetheart. Take it back. Decant it again. Properly this time." "Of course, Mr. Sterling," Erica said, her voice steady. Throughout the meal, the abuse escalated. He snapped his fingers to get her attention. He made a loud, derogatory joke about her uniform fitting too loosely, causing his sycophantic colleagues to roar with laughter. The woman with him looked down at her plate, ashamed, but said nothing. Erica took it. She had to. The medical bills for her mother's chemotherapy were due on Friday. She needed the tips. She needed this job. She swallowed her pride, imagining it tasting like ash in her throat, and kept serving. The climax of the evening arrived with the check. The bill was astronomical. $12,400. Derek glanced at it, barely registering the numbers, and tossed a black titanium credit card onto the table. When Erica returned with the receipt, Derek was already standing up, buttoning his jacket. He was laughing loudly about how easy it was to fire incompetent nobodies. He looked at Erica, who was waiting for the signature. "Service was adequate," Derek said, his voice carrying across the hushed restaurant. "But you lack spark. You lack hunger. You look like you're just waiting for a handout." He reached into his inner pocket and pulled out a money clip. He peeled off a thick stack of $100 bills. It must have been $5,000. The room went quiet. Guests at nearby tables, senators, actresses, tech moguls, paused mid-bite. "Here," Derek said. He didn't hand it to her. He threw it. The bills fluttered through the air like wounded birds, smacking against Erica's chest and face before scattering onto the pristine white floor. "Buy yourself a personality," Derek laughed, signaling his group to move. "Or maybe some new shoes. Those look like they came from a dumpster." The silence in L'Obsidienne was absolute. It was a vacuum, not a fork scraped a plate. Everyone was watching the waitress. The humiliation was total. It was the kind of moment that breaks people. It was designed to remind Erica that she was dirt, and he was a god. Erica stood frozen for a second, her heart hammered against her ribs like a trapped bird. She looked down at the money littering the floor around her shoes. Benjamin Franklin stared back at her from the green paper. "Pick it up," a voice in her head screamed. "Pick it up. Mum needs the medicine. Pick it up and say thank you." Derek was already turning away, his back to her, expecting her to drop to her knees and scramble for the cash. That was the game. He wanted to hear the rustle of her gathering his scraps. Erica slowly bent down. A collective cringe went through the room. They didn't want to watch her beg, but they couldn't look away. Erica gathered the bills. She stacked them neatly. The crisp paper felt heavy in her hand. She stood up to her full height. She took a breath, and for the first time that night, the mask of the subservient waitress slipped, revealing something sharp and dangerous underneath. "Mr. Sterling," Erica called out. Her voice wasn't loud, but it possessed a clarity that cut through the restaurant like a diamond on glass. Derek stopped. He turned around slowly, a smirk playing on his lips. "What? Is it not enough? Do you want—" He stopped. Erica was walking toward him. She wasn't rushing. She moved with a predatory elegance that didn't match her uniform. She stopped 2 feet from him. The smell of his expensive scotch wafted off him. She held out the stack of cash. "You dropped this," she said. Derek laughed, a barking, ugly sound. "It's a tip, sweetheart. Keep it. I don't take change from the help." "I don't think you understand," Erica said, and her voice dropped an octave, becoming chillingly professional. "I can't accept this. Because where I come from, we don't take charity from men who are drowning in debt." The smirk vanished from Derek's face. "Excuse me?" Erica took a step closer, invading his personal space. She looked him dead in the eye. "The Kensington merger isn't going to save you, Derek. The SEC flagged the irregularities in your offshore accounts in the Cayman Islands this morning. Your assets are frozen as of 4 p.m. today. That black card I just ran? It was declined. I covered your bill with my own savings because I didn't want to embarrass you in front of your guests." A gasp rippled through the room. Derek's face went pale, then beet red. "You lying little—" "Check your phone," Erica said softly, holding his gaze. "Check your banking app." Derek's hand scrambled for his phone. He tapped the screen furiously. His eyes widened. The blood drained from his face so fast he looked like a corpse. "0, Erica whispered. "Actually, negative. The bank has already initiated the clawback." She took the stack of cash he had thrown at her, the cash he had tried to humiliate her with, and tucked it firmly into the breast pocket of his suit jacket. "You're going to need this for the cab," she said, patted his chest, and smiled. "Ubers don't take credit from bankrupt men." She turned to the stunned room, to the frozen manager and the gaping diners. "Does anyone else need water?" The silence that followed was heavy, but it wasn't the silence of awkwardness anymore. It was the silence of an execution. Derek Sterling stood rooted to the spot, his phone clutching in a trembling hand. The screen glowed with the undeniable truth of his ruin. The guests he had brought, the sycophants and the silent woman, slowly backed away from him, as if he were contagious. In New York society, bankruptcy was a disease worse than the plague. "This is a mistake," Derek stammered, looking around the room, searching for an ally. "It's a glitch. I'm Derek Sterling." "Sir," Julian, the manager, stepped forward. He had been terrified of Derek 5 minutes ago. Now, sensing the shift in power like a shark senses blood, his demeanor changed. "I'm going to have to ask you to leave. You're disturbing the other guests." "I own this town," Derek roared, saliva flying. He reached for the cash Erica had stuffed in his pocket, as if to throw it again, to prove he still had power. But his hand froze. He realized with a dawning horror that the cash in his pocket was literally the only liquid asset he had left to get home. He looked at Erica. She was standing by the service station, calmly folding a napkin. She didn't even look up. Defeated, humiliated, and suddenly very small, Derek Sterling turned and fled the restaurant, the heavy glass doors swinging shut behind him. The moment he was gone, the restaurant erupted. It wasn't applause. It was the frantic murmuring of gossip. Phones were out. The incident had been filmed. Of course it had. 3 tables away, a teenage influencer named Chloe, daughter of a tech tycoon, had been live streaming her dinner. She had caught the entire exchange, the throw, the confrontation, the revelation of the debt. Within 20 minutes, the video was on TikTok. Within an hour, it had 2 million views. The caption read, "Waitress ends billionaire's career in 60 seconds. Karma, ahuwahot eat the rich." Back in the kitchen, Erica was leaning against the stainless steel counter, her hands shaking. The adrenaline was wearing off, leaving her cold and nauseous. "Erica!" Julian burst into the kitchen. "What the hell was that? How did you know about his accounts? You just told a customer he's bankrupt. If you're wrong, he'll sue us into oblivion. He'll sue you." Erica looked up. The shaking in her hands stopped. She reached into her apron and pulled out her phone. She opened a secure messaging app. "I'm not wrong, Julian," she said quietly. "And he can't sue anyone. His legal retainer was cancelled an hour ago." Julian stared at her. "Who are you?" he whispered. "You've been working here for 3 months. You said you were a student from Ohio." Erica untied her apron. She folded it neatly and placed it on the counter. "I lied," she said. She wasn't Erica Vance from Ohio. She was Erica Vance, formerly of Vance and Associates, a boutique forensic accounting firm that Derek Sterling had destroyed 2 years ago. Her father, Robert Vance, had been an honest accountant who stumbled upon Sterling's Ponzi scheme disguised as a hedge fund. When Robert tried to blow the whistle, Derek didn't just fire him. He planted evidence, framed Robert for embezzlement, and destroyed his reputation. Robert Vance had died of a heart attack 6 months later. Broken and penniless, Erica had spent the last 2 years scrubbing her identity, taking low-level jobs, and waiting. She knew Derek frequented L'Obsidienne. She knew he was a creature of habit. She had gotten the job here specifically to be in this room on this night. But the tip, the cash he threw, had been an improvisation. She hadn't planned for that. She walked out the back door of the restaurant into the cool New York night. Her phone buzzed. It was a text from an unknown number. "Video is viral. Stock is plummeting in after-hours trading. The board is calling an emergency meeting for 8:00 a.m. Phase 1 is complete." Erica smiled grimly. The humiliation inside the restaurant was just the appetizer. Derek thought he had just had a bad dinner. He didn't realize that the $5,000 he threw at her was about to cost him $5 billion. She walked to the subway station. She still had to get home to her mother. But tonight, she wasn't just a waitress anymore. She was the hunter. However, as Erica sat on the graffiti-covered seat of the subway train, scrolling through the comments on the viral video, she noticed something that made her blood run cold. Among the thousands of comments cheering her on, "Yes, Queen, get him," there was one comment pinned to the top, posted just seconds ago by a user named Watcher0. It read, "Nice performance, Erica. But you forgot about the camera in the private dining room. I saw what you took from his jacket before you put the money back." Erica froze. She instinctively touched the pocket of her jeans. When she had stuffed the money back into Derek's pocket, she had done a sleight of hand. She had slipped something out of his pocket, a small silver USB drive. She thought no one had seen. Someone had. And now the game had just become infinitely more dangerous. Erica's apartment in Queens was a far cry from the marble-floored opulence of L'Obsidienne. It was a fourth-floor walk-up with peeling paint and a radiator that clanked like a dying engine. But it was secure. Or at least, she had thought it was, until Watcher0 messaged her. She bolted the door, 3 locks, one installed by her personally, and pulled the blinds tight. Her mother, Sarah, was asleep in the small bedroom, the rhythm of her breathing machine a constant, mechanical lullaby. Erica paused by the door, listening. The chemo had taken so much from Sarah, stripping her down to a fragile bird of a woman. Every time Erica looked at her, she saw the ghost of her father, Robert, and the life that had been stolen from them. Erica sat at her desk, which was dominated by a high-powered rig she had built from scavenged parts. She pulled the silver USB drive from her pocket. It was small, heavy, and cold to the touch. It looked innocent. But Erica knew better. This was the dead man's switch her father had rumored Derek carried. She plugged it into an isolated sandbox drive, a computer disconnected from the internet to prevent any malware from phoning home. The screen flickered. A password prompt appeared. No branding, no logos, just a blinking cursor against a black void. Project Acheron. Erica's fingers hovered over the keyboard. She tried the obvious combinations first. Derek's birthday, his social security number, the date of the merger. Nothing. The drive gave her one warning. 3 attempts remaining. Data wipe imminent. "Damn it," she whispered. Her phone buzzed again. It was Watcher0. Watcher0. Don't try to brute force it, Erica. It's 256-bit encryption linked to a biometric key. You need his fingerprint, or his eye. Erica typed back rapidly. "Who are you? How do you know my name?" Watcher0. "I'm someone who wants to see Sterling burn just as much as you do. But you're playing with fire. That drive doesn't just contain financial records. It contains the names of the judges, senators, and cartel leaders Sterling washes money for. You stole the ledger to the underworld, kid?" Erica stared at the screen. Her blood ran cold. She had thought she was exposing tax fraud. She had thought she was taking down a corrupt CEO. She didn't realize she had just declared war on organized crime. Meanwhile, across the city, in a penthouse overlooking Central Park, Derek Sterling was not sleeping. He was pacing, a glass of scotch in his hand, his shirt unbuttoned, sweat gleaming on his chest. The humiliation at the restaurant was a PR disaster, yes, but the missing drive was a death sentence. The door to his study opened. A man walked in. He didn't knock. He didn't have to. The man was named Victor Cross. He wore a suit that fit too well, and his eyes were devoid of anything resembling humanity. He was Sterling's fixer, the man who made problems disappear. "The girl," Derek croaked, his voice trembling. "The waitress, she took it. I checked my jacket in the cab. It's gone." Victor poured himself a water, moving with a terrifying calmness. "I saw the video, Derek. You threw $5,000 at her. You made a scene. You made her famous. And now she has the Acheron drive." "Find her," Derek pleaded, grabbing Victor's lapel. "You have to find her before she decrypts it. If the syndicate finds out I lost the ledger—" "If the syndicate finds out," Victor said, gently removing Derek's hand, "they will peel your skin off while you're still conscious. And then they will come for me. So yes, I will find her." Victor pulled out a tablet. "Facial recognition from the viral video is already running. We matched her to a fake ID, Erica Smith. But the bone structure matches a Erica Vance, daughter of Robert Vance." Derek's knees gave out. He slumped into a leather chair. "Vance? The accountant? He's dead. I killed him." "His daughter is very much alive," Victor said, tapping the screen. "And she's smart. She spoofed the bank hack at the restaurant. But she's an amateur. She went home." Victor turned to leave. "I'll have the drive back by morning. And the girl? Well, tragic accidents happen in Queens every day. Gas leaks are particularly common this time of year." Back in the apartment, Erica was working furiously. She realized Watcher 0 was right. She couldn't crack the code without a key, but she could copy the encrypted image. If she could duplicate the data, she could hide it. Suddenly, the proximity alarm she had rigged to the fire escape sensor tripped. A soft beep-beep echoed from her computer speakers. Erica froze. She looked at the grainy feed from the camera she had hidden in the alleyway. A black SUV was idling below. 2 men were getting out. One of them was huge, carrying a toolbox. The other was slim, efficient. Victor Cross. She recognized him instantly from her father's old case files. The boogeyman. "Mum," Erica whispered, rushing into the bedroom. Sarah woke up groggily. "Erica, what time is it? We have to go, now. Fire drill." Erica didn't wait. She grabbed the go bag she had kept under the bed for 2 years. Cash, fake passports, burner phones, and a hard drive. She snatched the USB drive from the computer. "Erica, I can't," Sarah wheezed, trying to sit up. "Yes, you can." Erica's voice was fierce. She hoisted her mother up, draping Sarah's arm over her shoulder. They couldn't use the front door. They couldn't use the fire escape. Victor was already there. Erica kicked aside the rug in the hallway, revealing a maintenance hatch she had discovered when they moved in. It led to the crawl space between floors, connecting to the adjacent building. It was tight, dirty, and rat-infested. "In," Erica commanded. "Erica, I'm scared," Sarah cried softly. "I know. Get in." Just as Erica slid the hatch closed and pulled the rug back over it, she heard the front door of her apartment splinter. A crash. Heavy boots on the hardwood. Huddled in the darkness of the crawl space, holding her hand over her mother's mouth, Erica listened. "Clear the rooms," a deep voice said. "Warm tea on the counter." Another voice. "Victor's," said Smoothie. "They just left." She knew we were coming. "Do we burn it?" "No," Victor said. "She's smart. If we burn it, she releases the data. We hunt her. She has a sick mother. She can't run fast." Erica squeezed her eyes shut, tears leaking out. They were right. She couldn't run fast. But she didn't need to run fast. She just needed to be invisible. The sunrise over New York City usually brought hope. Today, it brought a manhunt. Erica had managed to get her mother to a safe house, a derelict motel in New Jersey paid for in cash 3 months prior. It was a dump, but it was off the grid. She settled Sarah in with her meds and a prepaid smartphone. "Don't turn it on unless you're dying," Erica instructed, kissing her mother's forehead. "I have to go back." "Why?" Sarah wept. "We escaped. Let's just keep running." "Because running implies they'll stop chasing." Erica said, checking the battery on her stun gun. They won't stop. Not until they have the drive. The only way out is through, Mum. I have to finish what Dad started. Erica took the train back into the city. She wore a wig, a short, choppy blonde bob, and oversized glasses. She needed help. She needed the one person who hated Derek Sterling as much as she did, but who had the technical resources she lacked, Marcus Thorne. Marcus was a disgraced tech journalist who now ran a conspiracy blog from the back of a comic book shop in the East Village. He had been the one to publish Robert Vance's initial findings, but Derek's lawyers had crushed him, suing him for libel until he lost his house, his wife, and his credibility. Erica entered the comic shop. It smelled of old paper and dust. Marcus was behind the counter, arguing with a teenager about the canon of a superhero movie. He looked up when Erica approached. He didn't recognize her at first. Then she took off the glasses. Marcus dropped the comic he was holding. You look just like him. We don't have time for nostalgia, Marcus, Erica said, placing the silver USB drive on the glass counter. I have the Acheron drive. Marcus's eyes widened. He scrambled to lock the front door, flipping the sign to closed. You're insane, he hissed, leading her into the back room, a server farm humming with heat. Derek Sterling has killed people for whispering about this drive. Do you know what's on it? I know it's encrypted, Erica said. Biometric lock. It's not just a lock, Marcus said, plugging it into a massive multi-screen setup. He typed furiously. It's a deadman trigger. If Derek doesn't log in every 24 hours, the drive doesn't just wipe itself. It automatically emails the contents to the FBI, the IRS, and the cartel. Erica frowned. Wait, if it emails the cartel, they'll kill him. Exactly. Marcus grinned darkly. It's his insurance policy. If the syndicate tries to whack him, the drive exposes them. It's mutually assured destruction. But here's the kicker. If you hold on to this drive and keep him away from a computer for 24 hours, the timer runs out, Erica realized, and the secrets get released automatically. Bingo, Marcus said. You don't need to decrypt it. You just need to keep the drive away from him until... He checked the metadata. 7:00 p.m. tonight. Erica looked at the clock. It was 11:00 a.m. 8 hours. She had to keep the drive safe for 8 hours while the most dangerous men in New York hunted her. But there's a problem, Marcus said, his face falling. The drive has a GPS tracker embedded in the hardware. Passive signal. It only pings when... A red light on Marcus's console started blinking. When it's plugged into a power source, Marcus finished, looking at Erica with terror. We just turned on the beacon. Crash. The front window of the comic book shop exploded inward. A canister of tear gas rolled across the floor, hissing white smoke. Go! Marcus screamed, shoving Erica toward the back alley exit. I'll hold them off. Marcus, no. Run, kid! Make it to 7 p.m. Erica grabbed the drive and sprinted out the back door. As she hit the alley, she heard the heavy thud of boots and the sound of Marcus yelling, followed by the sickening crunch of a rifle butt hitting bone. She didn't look back. She ran. She burst onto the busy streets of the East Village. She needed to blend in. She needed to keep moving. But now they knew exactly where she was. The passive tracker might be off now that she unplugged it. But they had her last location. The net was tightening. Her phone buzzed. It was Watcher, .0. Watcher, .0. You triggered the beacon. Rookie mistake. Victor Cross has a specialized unit sweeping the grid. You can't hide on the ground. Erica. Where do I go? Watcher. 0. You need to go where the signal can't be triangulated. The subway is too predictable. Go up. The Roosevelt Island tram. Get in the air. I'll meet you on the other side. Erica hesitated. Trusting a stranger had already almost gotten her killed. But she had no choice. She hailed a cab, threw cash at the driver, and yelled, "59th and 2nd! Drive like you're stealing it!" As the cab wove through traffic, Erica looked out the window. Every black SUV looked like a hearse. Every siren sounded like a death knell. She reached the tramway station. It was crowded with tourists. She bought a ticket with cash and squeezed into the large red cable car. As the doors closed and the car lifted off the ground, swinging out over the East River, Erica finally exhaled. She was suspended 200 feet in the air. No one could get her here. Then she looked at the car moving in the opposite direction, the one coming from Roosevelt Island back to Manhattan. The cars passed each other at the midpoint, high above the water. In the other car, standing right at the glass, staring directly at her, was Derek Sterling. He wasn't in his office. He was out hunting, and he had anticipated her move. He held a phone to his ear, his eyes locking onto hers with a look of pure, unadulterated hatred. He smiled and pointed down. Erica looked down. Waiting at the Roosevelt Island platform, surrounding the exit, were 4 black SUVs. She wasn't escaping. She was being herded. "Ladies and gentlemen," the tram operator's voice crackled over the speaker, "we are experiencing a minor technical difficulty. We will be holding position here for a few minutes." The tram lurched to a halt, dead center over the river. Erica realized with horror that Derek didn't just own buildings. He owned the city's infrastructure. He had stopped the tram. She was trapped in a glass box, suspended in the sky, with nowhere to run. The Roosevelt Island tram swayed violently in the wind, suspended 300 feet above the grey, churning waters of the East River. Inside the car, the tourists had stopped complaining about the delay and started panicking. They could sense the shift in the atmosphere. They saw the black SUVs waiting below like a pack of wolves. Erica stood in the center of the car, her heart pounding against her ribs. She looked across the gap between the cables. The Manhattan-bound tram, carrying Derek Sterling, had started moving again, gliding past them toward the city. As he passed, Derek didn't wave. He simply held up his phone, displaying a countdown timer. 1:58. 2 hours until the Acheron drive released its secrets. But he wasn't worried. He knew she was trapped. "Attention, passengers!" The intercom crackled. It wasn't the operator this time. It was a voice Erica knew too well. Smooth, arrogant, and terrifying. "We are conducting a mandatory security sweep upon landing. Please have your identification ready. There is a fugitive on board." The tourists gasped, looking around suspiciously. Erica pulled her hoodie up, but she knew it was pointless. The moment the doors opened, Victor Cross's men would swarm the car. She had nowhere to go. Think, Erica. Think. She looked at the floor. Solid steel. She looked at the doors. Glass and aluminum, sealed tight. She looked up. In the center of the tram's ceiling, there was a square panel, an emergency maintenance hatch. Erica moved. She didn't care about the staring passengers anymore. She stepped onto one of the plastic seats, then vaulted onto the handrails. "Hey, get down from there!" a man in a business suit yelled. Erica ignored him. She punched the red emergency release button next to the hatch. With a hiss of hydraulics, the panel popped open, revealing a square of grey sky. "Stay back!" Erica shouted at the stunned crowd. "I'm not the fugitive. The man controlling this tram is the criminal." She hoisted herself up. The wind hit her instantly, a freezing gale that threatened to rip her off the roof. She scrambled onto the top of the tram car, her sneakers slipping on the slick, curved metal. The view was dizzying. To her left, the Queensboro Bridge hummed with traffic. Below, the river was a death sentence. Ahead, the Roosevelt Island station was getting closer. The tram was moving again, pulling her toward the ambush. She lay flat on her stomach, gripping the maintenance rungs, making herself as small as possible. As the tram glided into the docking station, she could see the setup. 4 men in tactical gear were waiting by the turnstiles. Victor Cross was standing by the exit, scanning the glass windows of the car below her. They were looking inside the car. They weren't looking on top of it. The tram docked with a heavy thud. The doors hissed open. "Everybody out! IDs in hand!" a voice bellowed from the platform. Chaos erupted below. Screams, confusion, the perfect distraction. Erica saw her chance. The tram roof was level with the heavy steel girders of the station's support structure. It was a 4-foot jump. If she missed, she would fall 50 feet onto the concrete promenade below. She took a breath, coiled her muscles, and leapt. Her fingers slammed into the cold steel of the girder. She gasped as the impact jarred her shoulder, her legs dangling in empty air. She swung her legs up, hooking them around the beam, and shimmied into the shadows of the station's rafters. Below her, Victor Cross was raging. He was grabbing passengers, checking faces, tossing them aside. "She's not here!" one of his men shouted. "The car is empty!" Victor looked around, his eyes scanning the platform. Then, slowly, he looked up at the open ceiling hatch of the tram. "Roof!" he screamed. "Check the roof!" Erica didn't wait. She scrambled along the beam, dust choking her, until she reached a maintenance ladder leading down the back side of the station, away from the street. She slid down, ignoring the friction burning her palms. She hit the ground in a service alleyway and ran. She needed a vehicle. She needed to get off the island. The only way off was the bridge, and they would have it blocked. Suddenly, a sleek silver Aston Martin screeched around the corner, blocking her path. Erica froze, reaching for her stun gun. The passenger door flew open. "Get in!" a woman's voice commanded. Erica hesitated. The driver leaned over. It was the woman from the dinner, the silent one, the one who had sat next to Derek while he humiliated her. "I said get in, Erica," the woman said, her eyes fierce behind dark sunglasses. "Unless you want Victor to peel your skin off." Erica heard shouting behind her. She dove into the car. The Aston Martin roared, spinning its tires, and shot forward, narrowly missing a black SUV that swung into the alley. "Who are you?" Erica gasped, clutching the dashboard as the car weaved through traffic. The woman ripped off her sunglasses. Her eye was bruised, a fresh, ugly purple mark blooming on her cheekbone. "I'm Isabella Sterling," she said, her voice trembling with suppressed rage. "Derek's wife, and I'm Watcher 0. The revelation sucked the air out of the car. "You?" Erica stared at her. "You're Watcher 0. You're the one who warned me?" "I saw what you did at the restaurant," Isabella said, her knuckles white on the steering wheel. "I saw you take the drive. For 10 years, I've watched that man destroy lives. I've watched him launder money for cartels. I've watched him beat anyone who disagrees with him, including me." She gestured to her black eye. "He did this because I didn't smile enough during the appetizer." Isabella swerved onto the on-ramp for the Queensboro Bridge, cutting off a delivery truck. "He thinks I'm a trophy," Isabella spat. "He doesn't know I have a degree in computer science. I've been trying to hack that drive for months. But I couldn't get it away from him. Then you came along, the waitress with the guts of a lion." "Where are we going?" Erica asked, checking the time. 5:45 p.m. "We have to hide until 7 p.m. Once the deadline hits, the drive emails the files. Derek is finished." Isabella shook her head grimly. "We can't hide. He called me right before I picked you up. He knew I'd come for you. He knows I hate him." "What do you mean?" Isabella handed Erica her phone. On the screen was a photo. It was grainy, taken in a dimly lit room. It showed an older woman tied to a chair, a piece of duct tape over her mouth. A man was standing behind her, holding a lighter near her oxygen tube. "Mum," Erica whispered, a sound of pure devastation. "He found the motel in Jersey," Isabella said softly. "He has her, Erica. He's at Sterling Tower, the penthouse." Erica felt the world tilt. "He wants a trade." "The drive for your mother," Isabella confirmed. "If you don't walk into his office by 6:30 p.m., he lights the oxygen." Erica looked at the USB drive in her hand. The metal felt hot. This drive contained the proof to put Derek away for life. It contained justice for her father. It was the only weapon she had. But looking at the photo of her terrified mother, Erica knew there was no choice. "Turn the car around," Erica said, her voice dead. "Take me to Sterling Tower." "Erica, listen to me," Isabella said, slowing the car. "If you give him that drive, he wins. He'll kill your mother anyway. He can't leave witnesses. Victor Cross is there." "I know," Erica said. She reached into her pocket and pulled out a small keychain, a cheap plastic USB drive shaped like a cat she used for her resume. "Do you have a laptop?" Isabella nodded. "In the back." "I need 5 minutes," Erica said, her eyes hardening. "If I'm going into the lion's den, I'm not going in as a waitress. I'm going in as Robert Vance's daughter." The lobby of Sterling Tower was a cathedral of glass and steel, empty except for security guards who had been instructed to let them pass. The building had been cleared. This was a private execution. Erica and Isabella rode the elevator in silence. The numbers ticked up. 40, 50, 60. When the doors opened onto the penthouse, the smell of cigar smoke hit them. Derek Sterling sat behind his massive mahogany desk, looking like a king on a throne. Victor Cross stood by the window, a silenced pistol in his hand, and in the center of the room, tied to a chair, was Sarah Vance. She was crying silently, her eyes pleading with Erica to run. "You're late," Derek said, checking his Patek Philippe watch. "It's 6:40. You cut it close." "I had to catch a tram," Erica said, stepping into the room. She held the silver drive up high. "Let her go." Derek laughed. He stood up and walked around the desk. "You really are a plucky little thing, throwing cash at me, stealing my life's work. I almost respect you." He looked at Isabella. "And you, my loving wife. I assume you're the driver." "I'm the one who's going to testify at your funeral," Isabella said coldly. "Brave words," Derek sneered. He held out his hand to Erica. "The drive. Now." "Let her go first," Erica demanded. Victor Cross racked the slide of his pistol. The sound was deafening in the quiet room. He pressed the barrel against Sarah's temple. "The drive," Derek repeated, "or the wall gets a new coat of paint." Erica's hand trembled. She looked at her mother. She looked at Derek. Slowly, defeat washing over her face, she walked forward and placed the silver USB drive into Derek's hand. Derek's fingers closed around it. He let out a breath he had been holding for 12 hours. He looked victorious. He looked like a god. "Victor," Derek said, walking back to his computer. "Kill them all," Erica screamed. "We had a deal." "I don't make deals with the help," Derek smirked. He plugged the drive into his computer. The biometric scanner lit up. He pressed his thumb against it. Access granted. The screen filled with green text. The timer stopped at 00:54. "There," Derek sighed, sinking into his chair. "Crisis averted. The data is safe. And now—" He looked up at Victor. "Finish it." Victor raised the gun. "Wait," Erica shouted. "Before you kill us, don't you want to check the files? Make sure I didn't delete anything?" Derek rolled his eyes. "You can't delete read-only files, you idiot." "Just check," Erica challenged. "Or are you afraid?" Derek scoffed. He clicked on the folder labeled Ledger 2024. He frowned. The folder was empty. He clicked on offshore accounts, empty. He clicked on judge bribes, empty. What is this? Derek roared, slamming his fist on the desk. Where is the data? It's gone, Erica said, her voice suddenly calm, the fear vanishing. That's impossible, Derek yelled. This is the Acheron drive. It can't be wiped. It wasn't wiped, Erica said, a small, cold smile playing on her lips. It was swapped. Derek stared at her. What? In the car, Erica said, stepping closer to Isabella. Isabella is a computer scientist. She didn't just drive me here. We cloned the drive's hardware signature onto a dummy stick. The drive you're holding, it's empty. It's a paperweight. Then where is the real drive? Derek screamed, his face turning purple. Erica pointed to the massive flat-screen TV on the wall of the office, the one Derek used for video conferences. Isabella, Erica said, turn it on. Isabella pulled a remote from her coat pocket and pressed power. The screen flickered to life, but it wasn't showing a TV channel. It was showing a upload progress bar. Upload to FBI Cyber Division, 99%. You see, Erica said, we didn't need to wait until 7 p.m. We just needed an internet connection, and Sterling Tower has the fastest fiber optics in the city. When you plugged that dummy drive in, you didn't stop the timer. You authorized a bridge connection to Isabella's laptop in the lobby. Derek looked at the screen. Upload complete. You just emailed your entire life to the FBI, Derek, Erica whispered. And the cartel. And the press. Derek froze. His phone began to ring. Then the office line. Then Victor's phone. It was a cacophony of ringtones. Derek looked at Victor. Kill them! Kill them now! Victor looked at his phone. He looked at the message he had just received. It was a forward of the ledger. His own name was on it. Derek had kept files on him, too. Victor slowly lowered the gun. Victor! Derek screamed. I pay you! Shoot her! Victor looked at Derek with cold, dead eyes. You don't have any money, Derek, Victor said. I checked the accounts. They're frozen. Victor holstered his gun. He walked over to Sarah, took a knife from his belt, and sliced the ropes binding her hands. I'm leaving, Victor said. The feds will be here in 3 minutes. I suggest you run. Victor walked out the door. Derek was alone, surrounded by 3 women who hated him. The phones were still ringing. Sirens began to wail in the distance, getting louder, circling the building like sharks. Erica walked up to the desk. Derek was slumped in his chair, broken, staring at the screen that listed his crimes. She reached into her pocket and pulled out a single $1 bill. She crumpled it up and tossed it onto the desk. Here, Erica said, for the bail. The elevator ride down from the penthouse was the longest minute of Derek Sterling's life, though he wasn't the one walking out. Erica, Isabella, and Sarah Vance walked out of the front doors of Sterling Tower just as the perimeter breached. The night air was alive with the blue and red strobe of police lights. SWAT teams were pouring into the lobby, shouting commands. Above them, news helicopters chopped the air, their spotlights training on the building where the billionaire bandit was currently hyperventilating at his desk. Erica held her mother tight. Sarah was weak, shaken, but she was smiling. For the first time in 2 years, the shadow of fear that had darkened their lives was gone. Is it over? Sarah asked, her voice barely a whisper against the sirens. Erica looked back at the tower. She saw a figure being led out in handcuffs, Derek Sterling, his jacket over his head to hide his face, stripped of his dignity, his power, and his freedom. The press surged forward, cameras flashing like lightning storms. It's over, Mom, Erica said. Dad can rest now. 6 months later. The signage on the glass door was fresh, the gold lettering gleaming in the afternoon sun. Vance and Sterling, forensic accounting and ethics, Erica sat in her new office, overlooking the very skyline that used to intimidate her. She wasn't wearing a waitress uniform anymore. She was wearing a tailored navy suit. Her desk was organized chaos. Files on corporate fraud, tax evasion, and wage theft. The fallout from the tip had been nuclear. Derek Sterling had been denied bail. The contents of the Acheron Drive had triggered the largest RICO case in New York history. He was currently awaiting trial in a maximum security federal facility, facing 3 consecutive life sentences. The friends he had protected, the judges, the politicians, the cartel liaisons, were all indicted. The house of cards hadn't just fallen, it had been incinerated. But the twist that the public loved most wasn't the arrest. It was the inheritance. Derek's assets had been frozen, seized, and liquidated to pay off his massive debts. But there was one asset the government couldn't touch: his prenuptial agreement. It stated that in the event of criminal conviction, ownership of his legitimate holdings, including the shell of his company, transferred to his spouse. Isabella Sterling didn't just divorce him. She took everything that wasn't seized by the FBI, and then she went into business with the woman who helped her get it. The door to Erica's office opened. Isabella walked in, holding 2 cups of coffee. She looked different, younger, lighter. The bruises were long gone, replaced by the confidence of a woman who runs her own empire. "The verdict just came in on the civil suit," Isabella said, setting the coffee down. Erica looked up. "And?" "The jury awarded the victims of the Ponzi scheme full restitution," Isabella smiled, "and they awarded Sarah Vance $2 million for emotional distress and wrongful termination of your father." Erica let out a breath, tears pricking her eyes. It wasn't about the money. It never was. But the money meant her mother's treatment was paid for. It meant they didn't have to hide in crawl spaces. It meant security. "We did it," Erica whispered. "You did it," Isabella corrected. "I just drove the car. You're the one who stood up to a giant and didn't blink." Isabella walked to the window. "By the way, I stopped by L'Obsidienne today." Erica laughed. "How is Julian?" "Fired," Isabella grinned. "New management, and I left a tip for the new waitress. A big one. But I handed it to her. I didn't throw it." Erica picked up a framed photo on her desk. It was a picture of her father, Robert Vance. She touched the glass gently. That night at the restaurant, Derek Sterling had thought he was crushing a bug. He didn't realize he was planting a seed. He thought money was power. He forgot that the most dangerous thing in the world isn't a man with $1 billion. It's a woman with nothing left to lose and a truth to tell. Erica turned back to her computer. A new email had just come in. A whistleblower from a pharmaceutical company, claiming the CEO was poisoning the water supply. Erica cracked her knuckles and began to type. The waitress was gone. The hunter was here to stay. Erica Vance's story reminds us of a fundamental truth. Dignity is not a commodity you can buy. Derek Sterling had the world at his feet, but his arrogance became his prison. He mistook silence for weakness and poverty for stupidity. In the end, it wasn't the FBI or the police that took him down. It was the integrity of a daughter fighting for her father's memory. We often think that we are powerless against the rich and the corrupt. We think that because we don't have the fancy suits or the black cards, we don't have a voice. But Erica proved that the truth is a weapon that no amount of money can silence. She turned a moment of public humiliation into a revolution. She showed us that when you stand up for yourself, you aren't just changing your own life. You might just change the world. What a ride. I still have chills from that scene on the tram. Now, I want to hear from you. If you were in Erica's shoes that night at the restaurant, and a billionaire threw cash in your face. Honestly, what would you have done? Would you have walked away, or would you have fought back like she did? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one. If you enjoyed this story of justice served cold, please hit that like button. It really helps the channel grow. And if you haven't already, smash that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss a story. We have an even crazier drama coming up next week, involving a bride, a secret diary, and a wedding that goes horribly wrong. You do not want to miss it. Thanks for watching, and remember, be kind, because you never know who you're really talking to. See you next time.